Nona is on the other side of me in the Auckland studio. Hi, Nona Peltier.
Hello.
Economic confidence is up in 6 of the country's 11 regions, not Auckland though. What's the latest survey telling us?
Well, Auckland is the most gloomy region of all of the regions.
That's because it never stops raining here.
You think that's one of the reasons?
That
wasn't on the list.
The climate
actually,
is ridiculous in the city.
That was not on the list.
Right, okay.
No, I have to say the number one thing on the list was house prices. Yeah, they've been falling some time. They're now back to the levels we saw in August 2016.
So people are gloomy about the prices falling?
Yeah.
Although the people not in the market?
Well, I don't know who's the gloomiest of all, but
right.
Yes, it's not just the housing prices, that's one indicator, but I guess when your house prices are falling, you're not probably going to the restaurant as much. And also people complain, once you get into that downward spiral, people are complaining about the congestion in the city and other things. And so overall, that's a gloomy outlook for Auckland. And, well, that's what you'd expect.
But 6 of 11 regions.
Yeah, but
so
some of them are very happy.
Yeah, probably not in population terms, that wouldn't be more than half the country, but in regional terms, it's just over half, so that's good.
Yeah, it's a fairly, yes, and then of course the Bay of Plenty, it rose sharply, so 45% of the households there expect things to get better, and that's a big turnaround from previous years.
What's driving that? Anyone
know? Well, the kiwi fruit industry's picked up, I guess just people, maybe it's sunny there, I don't know. Could be, whatever, and also because I guess a lot of Aucklanders are leaving the region, maybe moving over there and lifting the spirits, who knows. Also, Nelson, Marlborough and the West Coast were also pretty upbeat. But, the rural sector generally was a little bit downbeat because of the problem with M. bovis affecting cattle herds, and that's sort of taken the edge off for some of the regions. And the most negative of all is probably not surprising is Taranaki because of the lack of, the ban on offshore oil gas exploration. That has certainly raised a question mark over the households there about their own future. So I guess you'd expect that uncertainty to have filtered through to this survey.
Now, wine exports predicted to fall in volume due to a lower than expected harvest.
Yeah, now that's a funny one, speaking of the weather. So we had good weather, and that lifted the harvest by 6% over the year earlier.
Right.
But not as much as the industry was hoping for.
Oh, okay.
So it was warm weather, but the weather wasn't quite good enough to satisfy the wine industry. They had big ambitions. That industry is worth $1.7 billion, and so their exports are not going to hit the mark they were hoping for because, well, I guess the sun shone.
Gosh, it's growing fast. I remember certainly not that long ago when they crossed $1 billion and they were celebrating that. They're almost double that now. That's extraordinary.
They're still aiming for more. So that's going to be, well, I guess it was a bit of a disappointment. But nevertheless, it's still a pretty healthy industry, and it did grow. The grape harvest was produced a harvest of 419,000 tons of grapes, 6% up on last year.
The highest average per bottle price on the market in the UK, New Zealand wine, higher than France, higher than America.
Yeah, well, fair enough. And that's partly because Delegate, which is one of our listed wine companies, have positioned the New Zealand wine at the high end of the market. And that's really made it a lot easier for even smaller growers to get into that market and charge those premium prices for our boutique wines. And they're pretty good wines.
What did the markets do today?
Well, interesting. The market was pretty negative at the open, and that's partly flowing on from what we saw with Wall Street. They had a miserable day. It was basically a sea of red everywhere in Asia, and so not surprising, New Zealand opened weaker. Wall Street tumbled overnight. It was the steepest loss in more than 2 months, so pretty bad, and that's with people concerned about trade, all the stuff that's being churned up in that area, and then uncertainty over oil, and you name it. There's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of risk out there. So there was a big sell-off in Asia. The markets were looking pretty sad on it, New Zealand too, but we closed down just 6 points at the end of the day, which is remarkable. 8,990 was our close, and the New Zealand dollar is trading at 68.9 cents US, which is just where it was pretty much yesterday. 93 Australian, again, hardly changed, and 51.9 British pence.
Nona Peltier, our Auckland Business Reporter, thank you very much indeed.